All right. All right. So, are we ready? Yes. All right. Wanted to say good evening to everyone, and thanks so much for joining us on this evening of December 15th, the year 2021. The Town of Fairmount Heights Town Meeting will now begin. And I would like to just start off by saying, as the bells toll for 800,000 or more COVID deaths, let us all be thankful for all we have. I'm going to continue with the flag salute. I would like to ask everyone to please stand and join us in saluting the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Our town clerk has taken ill this evening, so she won't be with us. Our town treasurer is here acting in her behalf. Thank you very much, Mrs. Walker, for coming to take her place at a moment's notice. At this time, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Martin.
Present.
Councilmember Waiters.
Present.
Councilmember Upton Walker.
Present.
Councilmember Morris.
Present.
Councilmember Wood Dotson.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan. Here.
Thank you. Everyone is present. We're going to continue down our agenda. We have some minutes that need approval. The minutes that are affected are October 12th, the year 2021, work session, October the 20th, 2021, town meeting, November 9th, 2021, work session, and November 17th, 2021. Council members, have you had the opportunity to review?
Yes.
All right. Everyone else has?
Yeah.
All right. At this time, I'll accept a motion for approval of those 4 sets of minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I get a second on that?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for our October 12th work session, October 20th town meeting, November 9th work session, and November 17th, 2021 town meeting. Are there any questions on the motion? If there are no questions, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Martin.
Yay.
Councilmember Waiters.
Aye.
Councilmember Upton Walker.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Councilmember Wood Dotson. Councilmember Morgan. Aye.
Thank you very much. The ayes have it. Any nays? Any abstentions? All those minutes are approved. Thank you all very much. We're going to continue down to our police department report. Lieutenant Ivy, would you please come forward? Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens, and season's greeting to you and happy holidays, and for a blessed and a prosperous new year to you. November 2021, the activities consisted of the Fairmount Heights Police Department totaled 235 calls for service for the month of November 2021, with a difference of 268 calls for service for the month of October. There was a shooting incident that occurred at 513 Eastern Avenue, Paul's Liquor Store. During that occurrence, there were 2 victims that received gunshot wounds from a verbal dispute, altercation that had erupted outside of the establishment. Both of the victims were transported to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the suspect has been identified for arrest. I will share with the mayor of the town and the residents that on this particular incident that did take place, the suspect that was there who did the shooting, he had came inside earlier and had purchased some alcoholic beverages with his credit card, which had made for a successful arrest to get that information. Next, there was a reported carjacking incident where 4 suspects jumped out of a vehicle, in the 800 block of Eastern Avenue. They surrounded a male and a female victim, and they did not brandish any weapons, nor did they imply that they had one. However, they did start making demands and searched one of the victim's pocket and took $1,200 in US currency from their pocket, along with keys and a cell phone. Once the property was taken, the suspects then circled the area trying to determine which house the victims were to go into. A citizen's robbery occurred within a victim's residence within the town of Fairmount Heights, where the suspect had gained entry into the victim's home from viewed video surveillance that was taken from his camera. The video showed the suspect had access into the victim's vehicles and found a house key to gain entry that was inside of one of the vehicles. Once inside the homeowner's residence, he retrieved handguns, wallet, and his cell phone. The victim did receive a head injury during that occurrence that was non-life threatening. During that time, the Fairmount Heights Police Department, along with the Prince George's County Police Department, we were able to make an identification for the suspect to pursue that with an arrest. Continued updates consisted of the Fairmount Heights Police Department's Maryland Correctional Police Training Commission in-service audit for the year of 2021, which was conducted and which was completed. A successful meeting with Senator Ben Cardin concerning his federal update for local law enforcement agencies and his collaboration in working with them. Beginning in the year of 2022, there will be 3 new bills that will be required for law enforcement agencies to report additional information to the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention concerning youth and victim services. Concerning patrol, the Prince George's County Police Department continues to assist the Fairmount Heights Police Department and also along with assistance from the Sea Pleasant Police Department. That concludes my report for November 2021. Thank you, Rez.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. Council members, did you all have anything for Lieutenant Ivy? All right. Appreciate that very much, Lieutenant. We're going to continue on down to our code enforcement report. Mr. Pinckney.
Good evening to the citizens, to the council, the mayor, and the citizens of Fairmount Heights. My report is from November the 4th, 2021 through December the 15th, 2021. During this period, we have issued 3 civil citations totaling $3,000, 2 for building permits required, accumulation of trash and debris. On December the 8th, 2021, the District Court of Maryland for Prince George's County was asked to continue the cases against one of our residents for not having a rental license. We placed a tax lien on the following properties: at 5810 L Street for $500 on the affidavit and $5 court costs. During this period, we received payments for vacant building registration for the following, and that's for the owners of 725 61st Avenue in the amount of $800. During this period, we have issued 2 stop work orders for a resident at 727 61st Avenue. Inspector Juan Swan of Depot issued the owner an additional citation, obtained a building permit for oversized rear accessory structure or remove the structure within 45 days. We also issued a stop work order for 729 Fairmount 729 60th Avenue, 60th Place for 729 Fairmount Heights LLC. A stop work order was placed on the Isaac Brown house located at 715 59th Place. Show due cause for the Historic Preservation Commission. Our hearing was held on November the 29th, 2021, but I was not able to, I don't know the results of that hearing. One of our residents at 6105 L Street which is my neighbor, we had put a verbal stop work order because she, during the summer, she had obtained the materials to erect a fence over 6 feet high. So I told her you needed a permit for any fence over 4 feet. They stopped work. Then on the 13th of December, I observed them and her workers. They began to dig the holes for the posts. I again explained to them you needed a permit from the county and from the town of Fairmount Heights. So her contractor suggested that she already had a permit from the county, and I told her if you had a permit from the county, the permit had to be displayed, and you also needed a permit from the town of Fairmount Heights. Today, when I came in the office, I had received a complaint that I was picking on the residents and that she had a permit. In the interim, I text Inspector Swan of DPI to see whether or not she had a permit. And she said she didn't have a permit, she just had the application for a permit. And on Monday, December the 6th, 2016, I met with the town treasurer, Mrs. Walker, and Lieutenant Ivy to discuss the checks that are being held. One was for Sheriff Road carryout, because we didn't know whether or not they had the health department's license, and one for Mrs. Syfax for, she paid her commercial trash pickup, and she had included $100 for a rental license, but the property hadn't been inspected, and she didn't have any licenses. So I think the treasurer, we are going to return both of those. We'll return her check, I think. We were going to talk to Ms. Syfax to see whether or not she could reissue another check with just the commercial trash. Because if we take the $100 that's included in that check, then that would basically say we're accepting that as payment for a rental license. We also wanted to make sure that all carryouts in the area had their health department certificates. That was Paul's Liquors, Ebony Inn, and Sheriff Road carryout. All three different places had their health department certificates. On December the 6th, we received a complaint from Mr. Tyrone Ho, and his letter is enclosed in my report that I gave to the council. And he had concerns about trash and debris from the lot behind his house and from the parking lot adjacent to his house. And in my report, I also mentioned that we are constantly having complaints from trash and debris at 708 62nd Avenue, which is the house belonged to one of our residents, Mrs. Wong. And the county has done 2 forced cleanups, and we've also removed 1 illegal constructed house at 706, but the problem still exists. And on December the 13th, 2021, I met with the Mayor, Martin, and the town treasurer, Mrs. Walker, to discuss cleaning the alleys and trimming or cutting the overgrown vegetation in the alleys. We also discussed the installation of speed humps in the town. I provided the mayor and Ms. Walker with some detailed information concerning speed humps, and I provided them with photos of the various walk paths throughout the town so we could determine which trees needed to be trimmed or removed. On December the 15th, I issued a notice of violation for corrective action to Mr. James Dorsey at 804 58th Avenue for unlawful condition of the property, the rear of his property, the roof, the gutters, the downspouts, and the windows are all in need of immediate attention. And that's basically my report.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Pinckney. Are there any other, I want.
That, the vacant lot, Addison Road, 62nd Avenue,
What's that?
it's a vacant lot with a big fence at the corner of Addison Road.
62nd.
Yes, they have a bunch of cars up in there. I think they've been using it for some type of storage, like.
Okay,
It was Dr. Moses.
yeah,
And there was also, I came through this evening about 4 p.m., And there was an extension cord running from the house on the corner across to the lot because the gate was open. So they had extension, a live wire.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Ooh.
But I'll look into it tomorrow, see it out.
And, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Pinckney. Was that any other details from Mr. Pinckney? So that we can move on to our next report? All right, Mr. Walker, would you like to go forward with yours now?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. I'm reporting for the month of November. I'm reporting for July through the end of November. And so at the staff meeting, I shared with the mayor and council that comparing where we are this year versus the same time last year, our total income last year at this time was $499,542, where in this year, our total income is $512,560. So a difference of $13,019. So, overall, what we're seeing is that income is consistent, but, the biggest difference that we see this year in comparison to last year was our highway user. We have received more revenue in that area, and so that accounts for the difference that we're seeing this year. And the reason I did the comparison at this time is because next month we'll be halfway through the fiscal year, and that's when we really start to take a look at this year, how we're doing in comparison to last year, and then begin to make plans for next year. So overall, again, the income is flat except for in that one area. Our expenses at this time last year were $301,894. In comparison to this year, our expenses are $292,534. So a difference of $9,360. So we've kept our expenses a little lower this year in comparison to where we were last year. But again, same thing. The part of the budget that we plan first is we plan for our expenses for the upcoming year. So we are able to meet our expenses without any problems. We're able to keep our expenses pretty much within the budget. But what we have to do is, again, plan for next year and look at how we spent. And we'll go back and look at last year and then the year before that. Overall, what I will say is looking at where the town has been over the past 5 years, we have been consistent with maintaining our income and our expense at a level where we can cover all the things that we need to cover. So we are in a good position to be able to do some long-term planning versus just looking at year to year. We should be able to do some long-term planning because there are a lot of projects the mayor and council have talked about, and those projects will require some additional time to plan them, to fund them, and to see them all the way through. Mr. Pinckney did mention speed humps, so I will not spend a lot of time on that, but after the mayor and council decide tonight if we can move forward, then we will put out a formal request for proposals from companies to actually install those speed humps. In the interim, what I have done is I have reached out to companies to see which companies are accepting requests for proposals, because some companies, due to limited staffing, have said that they're not taking on any new projects right now. But we have been able to reach out. Mayor Martin had shared a contact, and that company said that they are accepting requests. However, right now they do have quite a few in the pipeline, but they're one of the larger companies that install the speed humps that you see throughout the county. It was recommended that we take a look at the speed humps that we can install ourselves. And Mayor Martin and Mr. Pinckney and I met for a good amount of time this week to discuss that. And so what we are going to do, we are going to order 2 of those humps so we can see what those humps, what they look like, what it will entail for them to be installed, because that would mean that our public works department would have to install them, or we have to have another company or someone else to help us install those, So, in addition to that, Councilman Waiters shared some information with me. I'm not gonna say anything bad, ahead.
Oh, no, you got my attention. I was doing something. I just wanted to make sure.
Share information about, speed cameras, and so that's something that, we'll have to talk about more about it, mayor and council, but now you are able to do speed cameras in non-school zone areas. But that would, again, that would be something that the mayor and council would have to decide if that would be another form of controlling speed in the area that they want to look, if they want to consider. One of the things that Mayor Martin and I talked about was the length of some of the streets. I believe it's 60th Avenue, I could have that wrong, but I think it's 60th Avenue that we looked at, and it goes almost completely across the resident, the whole town. It comes in, hits a circle, and keeps going. So looking at speed humps on that street versus a different option, maybe another option may be better. I'm sorry, I'm so tired today. Another option may be better for that area. Regarding the trees, Mr. Pinckney mentioned the trees. Only thing I would say about that is what we are trying to figure out is if the trees are on town property or any of the trees are on citizens' property. Because some of the trees are so big. But what we believe we have identified is trees that are on town property. And those are trees that we're focusing on that need to be removed. There's only one location that we're not sure if that location is an alley or if that location is actually owned by the county. And it's a lot that's not too far from the Pocket Park. So again, I'll have to wait for the mayor and council to make their decision tonight, and if they decide to move forward, then we will be looking at tree removal companies to actually remove the trees, but we will be soliciting quotes from commercial landscaping companies to clear the alleys, because those alleys are actually paths that are considered footpaths, and so we can use highway user funds to clear those footpaths. And the only other thing I wanted to report on was the shed for public works. We have, with two companies, we have placed a request for sheds. Unfortunately, each company we reached out to, it's just the inventory just isn't immediately available. But I have been continually following up, and will continue to follow up. Again, we have two companies. We don't have to pay anything because everyone's inventory is delayed. No one is making me put down a deposit right now. These companies that we contacted are not making me put down a deposit. So as soon as one of them says that the shed is available, we will hopefully have the shed installed for public works as soon as possible. Those are the major things that I believe we talked about at the work session that I wanted to share tonight. I did have a request from a citizen regarding placing my report on the website. So I'll get with you after to place the report on the website after the meeting. Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. All right, we're going to continue on down to our town manager's report, Mr. Rumi.
Good evening, everyone. Citizens who may be on the line, citizens who are visiting us, good evening. My report is from November 5th through December 8th. I want to start with administrative matters. On each report, I remind the mayor and council the request to renew the franchise agreement with Verizon. At our work session, I did inform the council that I would dig out the original franchise agreement, any updates or any information to the current date, because it expires on November 21st. So therefore, we must have a new franchise agreement negotiated and in place by November 21st, 2022. And I think I've been putting this in my report almost for a year now. I've been updating Channel 11. Mr. Gray is very good in terms of getting the information sent to be placed on Channel 11. I can place most information on the channel, or he can, but it has to be sent in the form of a Word document or JPEG. State, federal, and external information to be placed on the website can be sent to Mr. Gray. And we get a lot of external information, especially from the county on COVID, from the governor's office, even from the federal government. So we try to keep the citizens informed as much as possible in terms of what goes on at Channel 11. Updated information for the website. Again, please provide me with information to be placed on the website, and I will get with Ms. Walker to start placing our financial reports on the website. You will find that we had one job opening that is posted on the website. I think I had 5 or 6 hits, and that is for the Public Works Department. Is seeking applications to fill a position of maintenance laborer. Just want to make note that the administrative staff, we have, for the most part, completed all of our evaluations for the public works staff. For the report that I gave you, Mayor and Council, this time is a revision to the report that I reported early in December. And so I included in red was the information that I may have verbally reported, and this time I'm putting it in writing for a matter of record. So for the record, since things are just moving right along, I want the citizens to know and the council to know that Mrs. Walker and I have met, and a draft of the revised Fairmount Heights personnel policy will be presented sometime after February 1st. But Ms. Walker, I'm hoping that we'll be able to do it during the month of February, so I don't have a date yet. Okay. Existing conditions in the building, and I'm not going to be as graphic and as detailed, but we do have some conditions, or had some conditions in the building that we're very much concerned about, and that those conditions exist throughout the town in terms of vermin, in terms of rats and mice and bats getting in the building. So we did have a real wild experience with a bat getting in the building. That was on Tuesday, December the 7th. So with a quick reaction, we did call the Prince George's County Department of the Environment. And believe it or not, this is information for the citizens. If you have vermin, if you have possum, if you have rats, you have any mammals in your building, the Prince George's County Department of Environment do not come out to exterminate. You must call, nor the Department of Wildlife. This is good information to know. So the Department of Wildlife informed us that they refer all of such problems to a private company, Alleviation Pest Control, and with the approval of Mayor Martin, we were able to get them in. They took care of the problem. Also, Public Works staff on the very next day did do an inspection of the building. MAC went up on the building and sealed off and covered up any vents that may have allowed the bats to get in. And they inspected the drop ceilings to look for evidence if their colonies exist. As you know, with mammals, if you see one, there's a colony someplace, so you're going to see others. So I just want you to be aware. I just want citizens, this is the time of year. Climate warming is also contributing to the number of insects, the number of bugs, because it's been warm. And having said that, I hope we all take a moment of silence and pray for our municipalities in Kentucky, Illinois, and other parts of the United States where people have died. I think at least yesterday or today was 78 people. Yeah. The youngest child, 2 months old. And so if you don't think climate change is for real, it is for real. And so the explanation is that because of December, the temperature is way above normal. It's too warm. I know Saturday at my place where I live, not far from here, we had terrible thunderstorms, like it was in the summertime. So we're going to spend some time, Mayor Martin and Councilmember Waiters, we're going to spend some time having some experts come in to talk about evidence of climate warming and the effects that it has on the town of Fairmount Heights, especially the rising of the water tables. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Water damage isn't okay right now. Okay, Also, I want to mention, and I mentioned to the mayor and council, also this goes out to anybody who's out there listening. Please help us and identify any electric pole lights that may be out. I know there's one right here in front of the building. I've asked Lieutenant Ivy and Public Works, so I'm asking the citizens to please participate. You can call me, Ms. Tucker, or Lieutenant Ivy, and let us know if a street light is out on your street. We need to know the street location, and we need the number that's on the pole. The great thing about cell phones, you can take pictures these days and send it in. But especially right now, it gets dark early. Lieutenant Ivy talked about safety and carjacking. We need to make certain that all the lights throughout the town are on. The installation of the Pepco charging station. With the site approval, Pepco presented the revised charging site proposal. The changes were made after Mayor Martin had an initial proposal, but then the final proposal, there'd be 2 parking spaces, 1 green charging station, 1 blue meter cabinet, and so for your other report, I did attach a copy of the drawings as to what that's going to look like. So we will be having our own charging station in the town, and I'm happy about that. And on a personal note, I really, realized this weekend what all that means. My daughter and my granddaughter, they're like sisters. They both bought Teslas. They come to my house with a big charge, a big old cable, and you can charge it in your house too. But this is the good thing about that. Those cars, it may sound expensive, but guess what? They will never need oil change. They will never need gas. They do not need that kind of maintenance. It is the greenest of all green projects. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of requests. We'll have a lot of discussion talking about the charging station and what all that means. I know we've heard some criticism and people are afraid that it's going to bring in people from outside. But the more important thing is that if you notice Hyundai, Volvo, and other companies, they are already going to electric cars. So we have to move forward. The town has to move forward. Also, I reported about the Federal Emergency Management, FEMA. And this is about the water problem that we have in our town. I know it affects Councilmember Wood Dodson and Councilmember up in the back of your house where you still have that problem with water. So I late in the summer, I worked with the county and other municipalities to put together an application for funding for study of the water situation in our municipalities. So hopefully we'll hear something back soon so we can look at how we are going to study and look at the risk that that we may be facing from natural disasters, and that ties right into what happened in Kentucky. Participated, okay, I had talked about, we had talked about the Public Works Department. They of course, will continue with the moving of leaves and their main work throughout the town, so they've been working diligently helping us. Also, I met with in my meeting with the mayor and council, we talked about the need for emergency preparedness. And one of the things I talked about was the installation of a heart defibrillator and the installation and the purchase of a generator. You never, ever know with the whole issue of energy going out, energy surges, when we're going to have something in place here for our citizens if we lose power. How will that affect the town of Fairmount Heights? And I volunteered to work with the Public Safety Department and others to come up with an emergency preparedness plan. Also, Councilman Boyd, our Economic Development Committee meeting will be on tomorrow, okay? And I didn't pass out the notes, but you did pass out your notes from your last meeting?
Over there.
Okay, so we passed those out. I met with United UCAP, United something against poverty, United
Communities.
Communities Against
Communities.
Poverty, and their planning staff. And I know Mr. Barnhart was there, Ms. White was there. But one of the things that I did focus on is the whole issue about about safety. Citizens brought up the issue of the existing crime and problems at that intersection, and what are the remedies and how they're going to address that. But it was made very clear that public safety is a function of the town. So I will be meeting with the mayor and council as to how do we expand our police department, a need to expand our police department. It is important not only in terms of this particular project, but it has a lot of impact on how we get additional funding as well. I gave everybody an update on the net zero housing. And so in my report last week, I did attach the update from Stephanie. Development is a long process. No matter how you look at it, it's a long process. We started back in 2014. Here it is the end of 2021, and we haven't seen anything coming out of the ground. And I'm not saying that in a negative perspective, because when you start developing a project, it involves financing, engineering, permits, refinancing, redesign. So it's a lengthy process. However, they should start demolishing the garage. That should be done this month. And starting in January, they will start some of the construction for those 7 net zero housing. I'm sure they'll be having more community meetings to talk about design. And also for Mayor Martin and Councilman Waiters, I did attach to you the fact that we had gotten a $200,000 grant from MEA to create a first in the state of Maryland, and maybe first in some parts of the United States, where this one particular development, tie this to everything I've been saying, is that it will have its own microgrid system. MEA gave us $200,000 to that. What does that mean? If the utilities go out in the rest of the county or town, guess what? They'll have their own utilities because they have their own microgrid system. In addition to that, we wanted to protect the historic significance of that site. It was a historic site where it was the first town hall, and so we included a little pocket park in a microgrid. So all of that you will see development of that this spring. Veterans Memorial World War II Heritage Preservation. Susan and I have been working with the state of Maryland. So we did get an extension to extend our construction date and development date to June 16, 2022. So I think we got $12,000 from that particular grant, and I've been checking the state of Maryland Historic Preservation, African American Historic Preservation Commission for additional funding. None is available yet. Also, more resources. The Maryland Milestone, or AFA, the Anacostia Trail Heritage, is requesting to be on our agenda for January 11, 2022. And also want to let the citizens know in terms of all the work that the mayor and council and staff have been putting in, bringing resources. Last year, we were among a few municipalities in the United States that got a grant, and I think we got $23,000 grant, and they used that money to develop the ravine, to plant trees, to do all the mulching, to do all the work you saw down there. That came, and I think they also used some of that money to clean up that 4.4 acres at one point in time. So that money came into the town. So sometimes you talk about resources, but I want you to know that these resources are helping the town to move forward. Green Team, we will meet the fourth Thursday. I was thinking about not having a meeting this month because of December, but we really need to move fast because we have things coming up, such as Earth Day, which is April the 18th, 2022, and so we need to spend time planning for that. We held our first annual Fairmount Heights Holiday Bazaar. The 2021 farmers market was a great success. But at the urging of the participants and the citizens, they asked for the holiday bazaar. It was such a success. Participating in the bazaar was Pepco, Exelon, the parent company of Pepco, HIP, and the Fairmount Heights CDC. All participated, all were present, all gave out information, and all was happy. And of course, they bought our produce from our farmers market. So again, I just want to do a special thanks for all of our regular Green Team members, for Council Member Wood Dotson, all the work you've done, Council Member Waiters, Ms. Capers. Definitely my special shout out is to Mac Hill, Lonnie Whitfield, and Donnell Tucker. Oh, and Mr. Warren Eaglestad, who lives in the townhouses, who supported our Green Team efforts every week at each event that we had, and I really would like to thank them. That's it.
Okay. All right, yes.
So, Mr. Remy, for the franchise agreement, it expires 2022?
Yes. 2022.
Okay, so not 2021.
Right, 2022. Yeah.
For the Pepco charging, you said one green charging station, one blue, I didn't catch that part.
Oh, okay. Let me read this over again. Okay, so we will have, there'll be 2 parking spaces, 1 green charging station, 1 blue meter cabinet. I mean, you have to put the charger in something, a meter cabinet. 1 charging, and 1, what did I say? 1 green charging station and 1 blue meter cabinet. So those will be the things that you'll see on the site. They're not large stations, or you can barely see it.
Okay. You said UCAP planning, regarding problems at what intersection? You said intersection at the intersection.
Okay, where the Melvin's Craft House is, that is
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
Eastern Avenue.
Yeah, 7-Eleven Eastern Avenue.
Right.
Request to be on the agenda, I didn't get that.
Okay, that's Anacostia, go back.
The trail.
Trails, yeah, yeah, Anacostia Trails. Trails.
Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Trails.
Atha, mm-hmm. A-T-H-A, Atha.
A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The $23,000 grant for the ravine was from whom?
It came through Chesapeake Bay Trust, but through Atha.
Thank you.
The only other comment I would like to make is that's to tie into Mr. Pinckney's report. He reported 708, I think, to the mayor and council, the condition that exists at 708 62nd Street. The very next day I got on it and I contacted the county. I did contact 311. We do have a case number. It's been assigned a case. And so the date that they gave me was the investigation should start December 17th. Mayor Martin, you provided me with additional information to call, and I did today, but I could only leave a recording.
Okay.
So Mayor Martin and other council members, we are actively involved this time. As I said to the Mayor Martin, we have to make a lot of noise to make certain that the county gets busy to clean up that site.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was here I came up on Friday. I took all kinds of pictures. It is such a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Rumi. Just to piggyback on that, the other information that came in through the 311 number is that the crisis intervention for Prince George's County said that they thought that would be a nice way to go on and contact them. Maybe we could get more direct action, because this is an ongoing problem on 62nd, and it's moving from one address to the other, and it's really like 3 addresses that have been affected, not even including the people that live directly on that street and on that end. I heard the comment earlier concerning an extension cord that runs from that vacant lot it was going into the street. So we don't even know what that's about, so that's something else that we have to investigate, but I know it's gonna be very important that we really follow up on that, because this has been going on for what, like 25, 30 years or more, and it just continues to get worse. And I understand the people that live directly next door or even anywhere on that street, it's such a major problem. And hopefully, through the information that Lieutenant Ivy is getting by having contact with the people, the county, and with the attorney, someone is supposed to have purchased that property that she's actually operating out of now at 708. And we want to try to make it better, because not only that, you have the person that lives directly next door. That particular house is brand new. And people living there in those conditions, it's just very sad. So hopefully, maybe crisis intervention can help. And I do have plans to reach out to someone else higher in our government for Prince George's County, because there has to be a way to do something about what's going on there. Yeah, it's very sad.
I just want to make one comment concerning the lot at Ms. Park was talking about. In addition to that problem, you have another huge problem there. You have water. You have a huge water problem. If you come out and observe after any rain, you can see where the water is like a spring, just bubbles up and runs.
Yeah.
And again, that affects those houses across the street as well.
And you're right. And thank you for that, Mr. Room, because we've not only identified that area on 62nd, but 61st has a major area. It's near the UCAP building there, where it just runs eternally, and it's been running for a long period of time. So there, and I mentioned last night in the meeting also that right here near the Pocket Park, there's another one that started. There's some kind of a spring or something that's opening up there. So, you know, we have these throughout the town. So we just have to get it all notated, and hopefully when we have our meeting, and I'll talk about that, I'm about to move down on the agenda to talk about our meeting that's coming up in January, and hopefully we'll be able to address some of these issues, so we should be able to use some of our funding in order to do something about this. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Rumi. All right, we're going to move on down to old business, and I won't talk too much about the first item under old business, which was the speed humps. We've been talking about those for a period of time, but we had a meeting last Monday. There was a meeting with me, Ms. Walker, the treasurer, and Mr. Pinckney, and trying to identify areas of concern and trying to get this whole speed hump process out and rolling. I talked about last night about the process of trying to get a trial so that we could see the areas of major concern, which we know we want them all over the town, but we want to see what works best at what time. And we were hoping at first that we were going to be able to get some infrastructure money that was going to be able to repair almost every street in the town. That's not actually coming forth. We don't know what part of funding we're going to be able to use, even with the infrastructure, the new bill. So even if we don't, we want to do what we can, and we want to have the flexibility. So we're going to have a work session. It's going to be like a brainstorming session on January 8th, and it's open. Anybody can come in. We just want to talk about how we can move forward as far as using our funding, and the other item is the speed humps. So that's the two items that we want to have on that particular agenda. It's from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. So you'll be getting another notification about it, but I just wanted to put that out there. The date is January 8th, and it'll be in the lower level of our town center here. So listen for that information as it comes out. Just wanted you to know what the situation is with the speed humps. We are very concerned, and we want to get those out and operating ASAP, as soon as possible. So I'm going to move down to item number 2, which is our Pepco charging station and the update on that. Mrs. Sarumi has given that information. We've already received the notice, well, it was yesterday and today. A response was sent back to Mr. Ruffin from Pepco to say that the changes that were suggested, because of the fact that we did not have a proper power source here by this door. So the location had to be moved to near the edge to where it's a Pepco line right there on the town's property, but it runs along the parameters of the town. So that's where the location is. And when I talked with the council about it, there was everything was a go as far as going. We could put the charging station in that particular location. So that's what's coming up on that. That's just basically an update. I just want to elaborate on it a little bit more because Mr. Rumi talked about it a lot. And I think the benefits of that, they're going to be so great. Not only did she mention Hyundai, but Volvo has already said that by 2024, they want everything electric. They want it electric. And I've talked about it in the town meetings also concerning how effective the electric car that I had, the best. Only had to pay $10 to fill it up. I mean, how much good, okay? No more needs to be said concerning that, but it's really a positive addition to our town, and I think people are going to really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to go on down to item number 3, which is the recall updates. Mr. Harris is not here tonight. Last night in the meeting, it was mentioned that we were going to reach out to him. I had Mr. Rumi to reach out to him. I had Ms. Tucker to reach out to him. Nobody has been able to get a response from him. I wanted to find out whether he was going to be here because I need to get a timeline as to when he'll be available to get his group, his other Board of Elections members together and go on and set the time so that they can bring us the recertification information and then we can reset the date. Now, I'm going to say that if we don't talk with him before Friday, since I can't seem to reach, and then maybe what I could do is tomorrow I could send him an email, but if we don't get a response from him, or I do get a response from him and he says that he's not able, I'm going to contact those other members and see if we can get something concrete, because I don't want him to be ill and we're just waiting on him and we don't know what's going on. And everybody else has reached out to him as far as staff. I'm the only person because, like I said, I let them do the reaching out, but I would do it this time myself because I want to get him nailed down as to what his process is moving forward. So I'm going to put a Friday. That would be, I think that's the 17th. I'll contact him by then. Okay. All right, and I'm going to move on down.
Madam Mayor, before you finish.
Yes.
There was an email that came out from Ms. Gladden today. Could you read that into the record, please?
I have that here. Now, this is the recall election recertification email that came out today at 10:02 a.m. And it says, "Good morning, Mayor and Council. During the town work session held last night, Tuesday, December the 14th, 2021, there was some discrepancy from several individuals in attendance regarding why the recall petition must be recertified. Per the town charter, Article 6, Registration, Nominations and Elections, Section 129-A, Recall Election for Mayor and Town Council Members, Item E, the election must be held no less than 30 or more than 45 days from Mr. Harris's certification filing of sufficient petition. The text from the town charter, Item E, if the petitions or amended petitions shall be found by the town election supervisor to be sufficient, the same should be submitted with the town election supervisor certificate to the council without delay. And the council shall, if the officer sought to be removed does not resign within 5 days thereafter, thereupon order an election to be held on the date fixed by them, not less than 30, no more than 45 days from a date of the town election supervisor's certificate that a sufficient petition was filed. Provided, however, that if any other municipal election is to occur within 90 days from the date of the town election supervisor's certificate, the council may, at its discretion, postpone the holding of the recall election to the date of such other municipal election. During the special town meeting held on Friday, November 19th, Mr. Harris indicated that the petition was certified on October 9th, 2021. As such, in accordance with the town charter, the latest date the recall election could have been held was November 23rd, 2021, which is 45 days from October 9th. Therefore, the original petition certification has now essentially expired, necessitating the need for a new certification followed by a new election date. Regards, Kim Gladden. This is what was received this morning at 10:02 a.m. So that's more so along the line of explanation as to the direction that this whole process is going. Okay, I'm going to head on down to new business. And under new business, our first item that we have is the 2022 planning schedule for ARP funding. And along with that, we're going to have part of that session that will be for speed humps. The date that was selected last night was January the 8th at 10 o'clock was the begin time, and it will go until 2 o'clock. So like I said, you'll be getting more information. It's open to the public, and it's just our time that we will plan and move forward as we get organized on that. So I didn't get a chance to give you this date either, Ms. Walker, because we did that last night. Okay. All right, item number 2 on the new business is the parliamentarian for the town. I don't know whether our Mr. Carson had the opportunity to come online. I'm not sure. We were trying to make it available so that he could come on as a parliamentarian just to listen in to see what our needs were and how to move forward for the town in the best possible manner. So I'm not going to elaborate on that too much more, but I know that there's a sincere need for us to have a parliamentarian, and I think that the sooner we get to that position, the better off we're going to be. So that is another one of our goals that we are going to accomplish.
So is that a contract that's gonna be had?
It's not yet. It hasn't really been. He's basically just listening in. He should be on our line. So the details of it you will be receiving. Okay. Item number 3 is our holiday list. We have the legal holidays that have been submitted. Mrs. Tucker gave me this list. I don't know whether you had anything to do with formulating this, Mr. Rumi, did you? No. Okay. This was taken from the information. I know you used the prior years and you put together a calendar for the year 2022, but I want to read this into the record. There are 14 days, which is our mandatory time. We have to have 14 days as legal holidays for our requirements for the town. And the first holiday is New Year's Day, which is going to be January the 3rd, because the holiday falls on is it a Saturday? Yeah, so it's the following day. Okay, the next day is Martin Luther King's birthday, Monday, January 17th. The next one is President's Day, Monday, February 21st. Next one is Good Friday, Friday, April 15th. The next one is the town election, Monday, May 2nd. The next one is Memorial Day, Monday, May 30th. The next one is Independence Day, Monday, July 4th. The next is Labor Day, Monday, September 5th. The next one is Columbus Day, Monday, October 10th. The next one is Veterans Day, Friday, November 11th. The next one is Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 24th. The next one is the day after Thanksgiving, which is Friday, November 25th. Next one is Christmas Day, Monday, December 26th. And the next one is New Year's Eve, which is December the 30th. Now, has everyone had the opportunity to review this? And if everyone is in agreement, we haven't previously done a vote on this. These are the dates. Is everyone in agreement with moving forward with these dates as our holidays? Council members?
Yes.
Okay.
Correction there, her and I worked on it together.
Oh, excuse me, council member. All right. Okay, sounds good. All right. All right. So we're going to, I need to let all of the council members, first I'm going to give an update on some items. I have some information that came down concerning Senator Nathaniel Exum. I know most people have heard that he passed away, and I just found out last night from Councilmember Morris that his services will be tomorrow at First Baptist of Highland Park, and they start at 11 o'clock, so I'm going to go just to be there physically because I haven't had the opportunity. We didn't have the time turn around to prepare him any kind of certificate, but I think it's going to be important because he gave probably 20 to 30 years of service to the county and to the town, and whenever we invited him, he always came. He always came, so he was a very big part of our community. So I want to go there and represent us. I'm going to make sure I do that. I just wanted to let everyone know that he had passed away and that the town was concerned that I'll go and represent tomorrow. Also on tomorrow, Senator Benson is having a Christmas event, and it's at the Glen Arden Town Center, the Gold Room. So she sent out some notices. I don't know whether council members, I don't know whether you all had the opportunity to RSVP or did you receive them? You didn't receive them? Okay, because she did send it out. Okay, so that's tomorrow starting at 6. Okay. Another thing I want to make sure that everyone was aware of is that on next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, the notice has already gone to the newspaper and it's been put out that we will have our hearing, our vacant lot hearing. It will be done next Tuesday at 6 o'clock here in the building. It'll be the upper level. So we'll have the opportunity for everyone to be on the sound system and go in with all of the recording. So that will be on the 21st. It's already been publicized and everything, so we should be able to move forward with that. Okay, so everyone, please read your documents. I think Mrs. Sarumi and possibly Ms. Tucker, if they could get that completed document so they can see it exactly the way it's going to be worded and everything, it'll be very helpful. Okay? All right. Well, we're going to move on down. I'm going to move on to the council member reports, and what I'll do, I'll start over on this side, then I'll just go all the way around. Bless you. Councilmember Morgan.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
Also, citizens. I have, we have no trash pickup services on February, December the 24th, which is Christmas Eve. And the other date is we won't have trash pickup on Friday, December 31st, New Year's Eve. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. That's Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
Yes, and Ms. Rumi, I'll make sure I give you the information so you can put it on the website and the TV station. The 2 trash days that we will not be picking up. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we'll make sure that information is forthcoming. And we need to also, in talking with Mr. Gray earlier today, he said that anything that we need that has to go up on the TV station, just get it to him in that format, and he could put that up. I think we need to make sure that, okay. Make sure that goes up. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, also, there was, I mentioned to him concerning the pictures, Mr. Gray, he took some beautiful pictures of the councilwomen of 2018. It was all-female council. So he has those pictures. He's gonna put those on the channel. So I haven't even seen them. I just had a glimpse of one of the pictures, but he's gonna put the whole group on there. So it'll be something, and I guess it's probably at a good time because it'll be right before Christmas, so we'll let him go on and put that up. It'll be coming out, yes.
With the picture that you're speaking of, those that weren't in attendance,
Uh-huh.
how will their names be incorporated in it, even if it were a no-show?
Okay, what we can do is to have him just include the names now. I know that you were a no-show, and who else was it?
I don't know. But I know.
Councilwoman Downey, former Councilwoman Downey.
Okay. Okay. And so that should be everybody, right? He could just put the names up. I guess well, we probably have to have Ms. Sucker to format it so that it can be sent to him with just the names on it. Yeah.
With the picture being put up in a frame with the caption, like on the pictures that the names be included in the plaque at the bottom, or you just noticed by what's presented in the picture?
Yeah, you just notice by what's presented, unless we tell him to put something else on.
Okay.
So I guess-
thought maybe plates would go in the picture if it's a picture to be delegated.
Oh.
Something that had always been said, while no one knows the names of who is up there at this time.
They don't go up there. They don't go up there.
No,
It's
no,
a
I'm
few
just
missing.
saying, see how Kathy,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, that's what I mean.
There's a few missing.
Yeah, that's go out the lobby somewhere.
Yeah. Well, we hadn't even really gotten that far on it,
Okay.
so
I'm just saying.
we have to see
Okay.
what else happens from it. I just wanted to make that announcement. Okay, thank you, Councilmember. That ends it for you.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood Dodson,
Good evening.
good evening.
I attended the UCAP, meeting that was on December the 2nd. And, on this Saturday, the 18th, we're having, the town will be, giving a holiday extravaganza that's been collaboratively at no cost to the town. We'll be giving away coats, pocketbooks, hygiene, it's open, toys to the town. We had a lot of contributors and supporters to, really be a part that want to be consistent. Latasha Ward is one that's has sent people as well, so it should be a good turnout from 11 to 3 on Saturday.
11 to 3.
And in November, we did a giveaway November the 13th, which was very successful. Coats, clothes, shoes, boots, food. We gave 150 bags of food with meat and everything. Myself and Councilmember Waiters gave out 35 turkeys. So hopefully we can, from what we're doing here, possibly have an ongoing endeavor. Some of them are even asking if they could come in and contribute a giveaway, being that we're in a food desert and people are going through financial, strengths, that they are willing to come back and try to give every month. So this might be an ongoing endeavor that's beneficial because it's not costing us anything.
Okay,
That's mine.
all right, thank you. Councilmember, on the, is there someone that can be stationed at the door
It is,
to make sure that we get everybody's temperature
yeah.
and get, let everybody get signed in and properly documented?
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
tried to use this one on the 13th, it didn't work.
It probably needed a battery.
Yeah, it didn't
Okay.
do
So we can test it out.
We'll bring them in.
Test it out on Friday,
Right.
yeah, to make sure it's,
Oh, no, we'll bring some in. I'll make
Oh.
sure that we have,
okay,
okay.
all right. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Morris?
Good evening.
Good evening.
In lieu of a report, I'm just gonna put out some remarks that I've been wavering through and wanted to speak it out. Last night, we had some complaints that had come up. We constantly get complaints from citizens and people calling in. And a couple things that really touched a nerve with me. And I was told by Patricia Waiters that I'm on the communications group. And I was the co-chair for Ms. Hargrove before she left. Ms. Hargrove put her heart into a newsletter that I assisted with, and I printed for free. And yet the council, two of the council members voted it down and didn't want to do it anymore. But yet people are complaining about they're not getting communication out into the street, or that we're still putting notes on fence posts and it's blowing away in the wind. So everybody wants a newsletter and needs to get the information out. We are an older community that doesn't have the technology to give the residents, the older residents, the ability to read what's going on. Nor are we even telling them, and I'm part of that, of all of us. The other thing is that we are a town that has been one of the oldest municipalities in the area, but yet our signage is way outdated. Our logo is outdated. We have a new logo. We haven't put it up in here. Last year, I offered $1,000 in free signs to put up for the town. Nobody took advantage of it. Nobody's even asked about it. Right? What's that?
That's a conflict.
It's not a conflict if I'm donating
Yeah,
it.
you always,
It's
you
free.
always advertise. Always. Go ahead.
Okay.
Fine.
All right.
Conflict is taken back, no longer available. Things that we need to be doing as a mayor and council, I think that Ms. Susan, I'm gonna ask formally that we get a group together, or maybe even put out a bid to get a company to come in and help us update our charter, because our charter is antiquated. It is no longer viable for the community that we live in today. The recall says that itself. The recall didn't go as well as you all had planned, and it's because our charter is outdated, right? So as a mayor and council, I'm asking, let's set a date to sit down and redo our charter. I would like to do that before I leave office. We got 2 years left. The candidates meeting, I've attended several of the candidates meetings for the governor's race. I am asking them to look into creating a department that oversees the municipalities, not just ours, but all of them. Because all the municipalities right now are going through the same thing that we're going through in here. And it's a shame, it's terrible. Because you don't like so-and-so, you're gonna vote against them, you're gonna sign a petition, or you're gonna not vote on something that they want. Stella Hargrove is a prime example. Stella was probably the hardest working of all the council members that we have here. She's now gone. But she had a lot of vision for this town to go forward. She actually got them to agree to put up $1.5 million for the farm. And you all voted that down. Yet Mr. Roomy's in here every week talking about we're a farmer's market, how much everybody liked it. Talking about an electric grid that's gonna supply the people on that street, right? But what about the land that we have over there that could have had a solar farm that could have given every resident in this town electricity for free? Y'all didn't want it because Stella Hargrove was the one that proposed it.
It was an aquaponics, not a solar
Okay.
farm, it was an
And,
aquaponics.
excuse me,
Correction.
Right? There was a proposal to add solar farm to the other 3 acres of the 4 that we have. Yeah, it was there. And now that solar farm and the farm itself is gone. That farm could have brought in more money than our old budget for the year. It was supposed to bring in $1.5 million a year. Our budget's only 700, how much is our budget, Ms. Sue? 7 something? Yeah, 1.5 million, free money, we wouldn't have had to do nothing. Right? What else do I have? So I am actually meeting with Larry Hogan next week, and I'm gonna ask again what I asked Senator Benson for, a full audit of the town of Fairmount Heights. And it's not a financial audit, it's a procedure audit. It's what's been going on in this town for the last 5 to 6 years, the last 2 terms of the mayor, right? We need it. You all are doing your thing, and we're taking it, we're doing our thing. We're trying. The 4, as we've been labeled, right? But look what the 4 has actually done. What have we done?
What?
I mean, do we not have a trash truck?
yeah,
Did we not have a dump truck?
He's giving a report. He's making a
Right.
statement.
Yeah.
He's giving a report,
Excuse
he's
me,
making a statement, and if
excuse
I'm
me.
to make a statement, I'm going to make one.
Excuse me,
Okay.
excuse me.
Go ahead.
Would you
Thank you.
finalize on yours, council member, so we can move
You
on?
know, as far as the recall goes, you know, I've kept my mouth quiet about it, I haven't said anything, I don't like it, I don't agree with it, because I, as a man, would have come to you all and said, hey, can we sit down and talk about this, right? You've never called me and said, hey, let's set an appointment to come talk to Mr. Morris about what you accused Mr. Morris of doing. My phone rings all day long. I have people answer my phone. They never had a message from the Citizens Group or Civic Association, right? What you put in there about me is actually factually wrong, because what you accused me of happened before I did.
Ladies, Madam Mayor.
Council member, council member, all right.
Order, Madam Mayor.
Council member,
I'll wrap it up.
thank you. Okay, please do, so that we can continue on, because we really have been headed in a good direction. I hope we continue.
So in heading in that direction, if you would like to still have a meeting with me, set an appointment, I will gladly sit down and talk to you.
Council member, thank you very much. We're gonna move on. Council member Akindu Waka.
Good evening. I do have a written report, but it's in my phone. I was unable to print it down because my printer is not working. Okay. First and foremost, I want to go back and, as Mrs. Sarumi stated when she had her meeting with UCAP in reference to safety, I did request during our work session that we do start the process of hiring the police chief. I have also made the corrections to the town survey, which I will be reviewing with all of the town organizations. And I'm asking that the mayor and council also participate. I have, in spite of some of the things that were wrong on the survey, I have received some back, answered by a few citizens that I will make present upon having a Department of Public Safety meeting in January. I'm waiting for a confirmation from Major Waddy as well as Lieutenant Sims. And also, in our last meeting, Councilwoman Wood Dodson requested a document in explanation of the stipend as to what I was mentioned. I do have that for her, and with the mayor and council's permission, I'd like to put it in her hand.
Why they gotta be public record?
Because she asked me for it.
What she
in
asked you for,
public.
why we couldn't just go give it to her? I'm just,
Oh,
no,
okay. Okay, I can wait.
All right, you can just hand it to her.
Okay,
That's fine.
thank you. Or I can
All right.
give it to her later.
And,
These readings that we all know what it is.
It's her personal business.
all right. Oh, be careful. All right. All right. Does that
Yeah,
finalize for you?
That concludes.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Waiters?
Yes, ma'am. Once again, Madam Mayor, we were having a good meeting and all of a sudden it went left. I'm offended, but I'm not gonna go there. I'll respond in writing. But I do wanna refer to the committee. We had a discussion last night in the work session about a question as to the responsibilities or how we give our reports. And I asked, Ms. Tucker was not here. I do have it at home, but I asked for it in public and for public record for the committees that are in place and their responsibilities. That the mention was, to reiterate what I said last night, was we had a communication committee and stated that Councilmember Hargrove was, and that Councilmember Morris was the co-chair, and by default, he is now functioning in that committee. So it was no pun intended, other than per the complaint of the community with newsletters or flyers or whatever, that it doesn't mean that there's something can't go out. So I don't know where the offense is coming from, but he is supposed to be in charge of communication. Therefore, when things need to go out into the community, he needs to coordinate it. That was the point, but I didn't ask the question. So I refrain from the statement. I can't. Every time we get into a meeting, it's something. My report, I gave a copy of my report to the mayor. This is the Economic Development Committee's report. It is written and ready for file. We met on the 18th of November at 7 o'clock. It was a virtual meeting. UCAP was there. This was our initial meeting with UCAP per the request of the Citizen Association and citizens to get more information on 711 Eastern Avenue, which is the Melvin's Craft House location. We were requesting, there was a discussion about site renderings, which were not available. We were followed up and given information about the UCAP meeting that did take place on December the 2nd, which has been referenced here in this meeting several times, wherein the questions came up about public safety and the lack thereof, and some other things that I did report in work session. I'll elaborate more because we're supposed to meet on tomorrow at a later time. The Fairmount Heights CDC, Renita, I don't know her last name, Ms. Capers came and they did the presentation on the organizational structure of the CDC. We talked about development and having a stakeholders meeting. We talked about area-wide transition location impact of certain areas. We talked about the Main Street, 4.4 acres, which has a priority to be fenced off and secured. And we talked about community branding. In community branding, the question was asked, what makes us unique? Response was that we're historic, location and transportation. We face the borders of the District of Columbia, and therefore we should focus on beautification points at various locations identified by the community. I'm sorry, the mayor and council and or the community. And a portion of that effort would be the $5,000 grant money or efforts that Mrs. Remy speaks about all the time. Councilman Dawson spoke about unbuildable lots that we could possibly put seating on those lots, like we did the Pocket Park, or tiny houses. Ms. Gladden said that we're unique in because we have multi-generation family culture, and we maintain placement in the community. Prince George's County Arts, another subject, and Humanities Council grant. Recommendations to use those funds were for beautification of fire hydrants, electric boxes, community mascots, community flower, which we adopted some time ago, several renderings, art renderings, spring artscape event, paint and sip, mocktails, mind you, and that was for Ms. Gladden. We talked about subcommittees. Economic Development does not have a co-chair at this particular time. We'll put more information out for that opportunity. Community outreach was one of the committees that was suggested, communications and community outreach, and event planning. The meeting wrapped up with a suggestion for the next meeting, again taking place on December the 16th at 7 p.m., which is virtual, and that is a planning meeting for the following month. We anticipate having our stakeholders meeting, which will be on a Saturday in January, date to be determined. Copies are available right here. The Youth Recreation Council, our first event for the day and for quite some time. For the break, this winter break, we're hosting a neon glow party from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday, December the 30th, 2021. Youth ages 13 to 16. I have created a form that's in PDF form. Is it still here? Can be uploaded to the website. It has a registration link that will go directly to.
Oh.
Okay, I will email it to her. There's a link in the document, it's a flyer, but there's a link, interactive link that's in the document that will, participants that want to participate can click on, and it will go automatically to a form that is completed, the registration to participate. There's also another flyer that's a JPEG that can go on the website, because I believe that's a format that has to be uploaded. I told you about the economic development. I don't want to reiterate the, what came out of the UCAP meeting, because it's been said several times. District 24, Senator Benson, and District 4 hosting Feed the Hungry on the 17th, which is Friday, at 6 o'clock p.m. at St. Margaret's on Addison Road. And I'll bring that in report for this month.
All right.
So who did that last part again?
The event, District 24,
What is it again?
Senator Benson,
Yes, sir.
and District 4, Feed the Hungry.
Feed the Hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the date?
December the 17th at 6 o'clock.
Where'd you say it is?
St. Margaret's Catholic Church on Addison Road. Capitol Heights, right there at Addison Road, Addison Metro Station.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you all very much. And I appreciate your reports. Have several bits of information printed here so that we can refer back to it. At this point, I'm going to head on over to the citizens that are in the room, and any citizens on the line, if you would like to, I'll do on the line first. Those on the line, if you would like to have something for the good of the organization, you could speak up now. All right.
Which
Okay.
line are you referring to? Which line are you referring to?
The line here, this
Here.
conference line, the conference line. You see anything in the chat?
Oh, I'm not doing
Yes,
that.
you're not- okay. All right, never mind, don't have, because I think they would probably, they could be on either line, so that's great. All the lines are open tonight, so,
No, there's nothing in the chat.
okay. All right, so we'll move on to the live line, to our live residents that are here. If there's anyone who has anything for the good of the organization, would you please come forward, and you all can sort of do it in whichever positions you would like. It doesn't matter, because I think the only hand that I saw was Mr. Barnhart's one time. So, okay.
Good evening, citizens. I'm going to refer back to last month because Councilmember Jacqueline Wood Dawson left early. And there was a statement made by Councilmember Up last month's meeting, November 17th, 2021, and in February of 2021 by previous Councilmember Stella Hargrove concerning Jacqueline Wood Dawson's monthly stipend. Because they were Councilmember Morgan, Councilmember Jacqueline Wood Dawson, and Councilmember Stella Hargrove was elected into office in May of 2018, which made them a sitting council member. And according to the charter, which everyone waves around during the meetings, talking about let's burn the charter, we're not going by the charter. Well, there's a section in here, section 1-16 concerning council members' salary, which reads, each council member shall receive an annual salary which shall be equal for all council members and shall be specified from time to time by an ordinance passed by the council in the regular course of its business, provided however that no salary specified at the time of any council takes office shall be changed during the period of that council's elected term. Now, there was an increase, stipend increase, which I don't have a problem with. They need an increase, but it was done in 2019. If you are sitting council member in 2018 and the stipend increase was done in 2019, you are a current sitting council member and was not entitled to that stipend increase. And when I inquired to the treasurer, Susan, about that, and what she told me was, Councilmember Jacqueline Wood Dawson, when she found out she was not entitled to that stipend increase, she stopped her stipend increase.
No.
Councilmember Morgan, she stopped her stipend increase, and Councilmember Sterling Hargrove stopped her stipend increase. The letter also states that the following council member is receiving the increase monthly stipend per the town attorney is not eligible for the increase. Now, she's been getting that increase since July of 2019. 6 months in July, 12 months in 6 months in 2019, 12 months in the year 2020, and 12 months in the year 2021, which total to $6,000 approximately.
I
Yes.
have a question.
Just a moment, council member. Just a moment. Now, we are in citizen participation,
I wanna ask her a
and
question.
we have to let Ms. Clark finish what she's
No, I'm not
saying, then
finished.
Go ahead.
she's still talking.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Not only is she probably currently receiving an unentitled stipend increase, she also received Christmas bonuses for the year of 2012, $200, and 2017, $100, whereas Mayor Martin paid her Christmas bonus back. Councilmember Up paid her Christmas bonus back. There were previous council members that denied theirs or paid them back. Now that brings that total to, for Councilmember Wood Dawson, $6,300 of taxpayers' dollars. Now, for those that didn't hear, in the charter, section I-6 for council member salary, it clearly states if you're a sitting council member, you should not receive a stipend increase. Now, if she's not, if she's gonna be entitled to that stipend increase, the other two council members should, their salary should be brought up to the same as Councilmember Wood Dawson's, because they did the honorable thing and stopped theirs once they were informed that they were not entitled to that stipend. And the other, I wanna ask, Susan, but did you have, I wanna ask you something, but did you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, being that I don't, I'm not the one that initiate checks, nor am I a signer, when they were all taken off, or if it were wrongfully done, being that the 4-year term and the stipend all was increased in one, when it was initiated, when, if it were to be stopped as far as the stipend, when they supposedly or whatever was done, why wasn't it done across the board? You mean I have to come and say, I didn't even know?
The attorney said,
To whom?
I'm asking you a question.
Oh, okay.
When Councilmember Morgan
Mhm.
came to me first, Councilmember Hargrove came to me second, and both requested to stop and stipend. I asked both of them why, and they said because of the attorney. The attorney said, now that we know that we aren't entitled to it, we have to stop it. And no, it's up to us to make a decision of what to do. So I contacted, you either do what's right or you
Okay.
don't do it. He said that's up to each person. I contacted Mr. Deloach to ask him, what do I do? He said, you don't have the right to change anybody's. It's up to them to come to you. He said he met with you guys. I wasn't part of that meeting. He said he met with you all in closed session. He said in that closed session, I guess that's when he gave you all whatever information he gave you. And then he told me what I could, which I know I can't just change anybody's payroll. Because it's done, you guys voted on those increases. Those increases went into effect. What I said at the time was it had been done in the past. When I came here in 2008, there were increases that were done and everyone in 2008 got those increases. So that was my rebuttal to what he had said. It had been done in the past. He said, I understand that, I'm paraphrasing, I understand that, but what's right and what's wrong, and now that they know, now they have been made aware, it's up to them to either tell you to stop it or not to stop it. But I don't have the right to change it.
Okay.
And then I also rebutted with the fact that in that, what you read, there's something in there that says the stipends will be, will be at the same amount. It's like in the first part of that, the, section 1.16 that you read, I said the same thing. I didn't state it, I said, but there's a part that says everyone be paid the same thing. So that's the same thing, I mean, I said that as well. Because again, that was my interpretation, what happened in the past. And then that section in there that said everyone be paid the same thing. So those are things that I said in conversation with Mr. Deloach. But again, that was the information that he shared with me. It's my understanding he met with you guys and told you guys the same thing. So I don't have the right, even today, I don't have the right to just stop
Okay.
your increase.
Do you know the day that he came and told all of us that? Cause I sure don't remember.
You all
Yeah.
have to have that information. I don't
We-
know the day.
I
We
remember
have
when
that-
He sit here, but I don't remember that.
It's on the record here, and we have to go back and research, but it definitely was recorded.
Okay.
It was recorded,
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then we did have a special meeting in which we all voted to stop the stipend, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Has that been done?
You voted to stop the stipend, but in that meeting, you all voted for the letter to come from the attorney, and it wasn't just for the stipend. What you all voted in that meeting was for anyone that is receiving the increase that should not receive it, but it should be stopped. And then anyone, past or present, that received a bonus that has not repaid it, for them to receive the letter informing them that they received the bonus that they were entitled to, and for them to repay that bonus. That's what you guys asked for. And so the letter will come from Mr. Deloach.
When-
I mean, I will contact him to ask
So
him.
when that letter comes, what happens?
That letter comes, the draft will come to Mayor Martin, because it's from you guys. It's not from him. You all asked in the meeting for him to prepare it,
Okay.
for him to review it and prepare it. And so the draft will come to Mayor Martin, and then you guys review it and take it from, and disseminate it from there. Because it'll be under the signature of Mayor Martin and the council.
I have another part for you, citizen, but go ahead and let her get her question in.
Madam Mayor, I'm just, okay, so for me, I'm asking, Ms. Clark has just presented some information, asked for some information, we're discussing something that pertains to her, that she probably needs to respond to. But this got like a debate that's going back and forth. She should have the opportunity to respond, because I think she's speaking to her directly, whether she speaks to the mayor and council, we should have the opportunity to respond. But we're sitting here answering with what happened then, what happened here, what happened here. Yeah, we did have a meeting. Where is the writing? Where's the report? We can go so far into this, but in all due respect, the citizen has asked questions, inquiring. She should have an opportunity to answer.
I asked her if she had any questions.
No, I'm talking about over here. See, we
Oh.
always start throwing stuff. When we're under pressure and we start throwing stuff and bringing things up. So I'll add to that, because what came up with that also that you're not bringing up is the 4-year term. Because that came from the citizens, but nobody ever talked about that, and he did speak to us about that. So make that a part of what your request is, my request, because that needs to be cleared out too. There's so many other things that need to be cleared out, Madam Mayor, so we really don't need to, the citizen participation start throwing darts, because it's gonna get ugly. It's really gonna get ugly. I'm just making a recommendation. She should be allowed the opportunity to answer Ms. Clark's inquiry, just like the recall, and they wanted forms and made requests or whatever, and it came later.
What I did was read what was in the charter.
Ma'am, I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm saying the response to what you're asking for, she should be allowed
Okay.
to, no, I'm saying, you got a lot written here. I don't think she can respond to
Did,
everything you asked.
did you want to respond to me?
No, I'm just saying with what was said, the same with the stipend, the 4-year term, they both were done at the same time. So what verbiage do you have to negate the 4-year term as well? Do you have anything to say that those that think they have 4 years, because it's an offset now. So is it a way that can be brought to the table too, since you're clarifying what it is with the stipend? Because whatever has become with the stipend, that's an issue that has to be dealt with from this point on. What verbiage do you have, being the stipend was changed at the same time those that thought 4-year terms would be? Because those that thought 4-year terms would be, as well as myself, have to run this year anyhow if the recall doesn't remove them, or they wouldn't be, coming back in the year of 2022 anyhow.
Okay, the 4-year term, okay, what I read was council member's salary, a sitting council member's salary.
Okay.
You
But
were a,
all of it was done at the same time is what I'm saying. So if
No,
we
no,
want to
you were-
clean this slate, we need to do it all at one time. Get the 4-year term verbiage, bring that to the table. Both were done, doing the voting downstairs to be done at the same time. So if you're gonna let the broom sweep, let's sweep clean.
Because this is what it means.
I don't think
That
that's-
term, this is what it said, what the citizen complaint was, that when they both were done, that it should have been put in the paper, here we go with the news articles or notification, 45 days for it to take place, meaning, once the vote was taken 45 days later, you have a sitting council, and it does not impact the sitting council, correct? Which means that when the election took place, it went to the next election, and not those that had just been elected. So therefore, when you talk about calculating money, go back and calculate from what time that happened until current, because the election should have taken place this May.
Okay, see now,
It's real big, that's what I'm saying.
oh, it's very big,
They wanna pull out,
but, okay, but,
pull it all out.
okay. But I'm gonna let you go on and finalize what you were saying. And if this is to be taken to another level, maybe we need to look at it from all perspectives. Now, I see, because every time there are more and more issues coming forward. This, to me, it was addressing the issuance of the stipend itself, not the 4-year, because, that was voted on by the citizens. They voted as a great majority to accept the 4 years. That, even though the whole glitch in that was that there was nothing there that talked about, putting that information in a newspaper record. Now, that's something I could not find, but the rest of it, it was voted on by the citizens. That's what they voted on. So that's 2 separate issues right there. 2 separate issues. So let's let Ms. Clark finish first, and if you have something to say, then we'll get Ms. White, and we're gonna, get into the point where we can roll it
that's what I
along.
was trying to say, the term and the sitting council, the salary, is 2 different issues.
It is.
But what I wanted to ask Susan was, at last month's meeting, I asked the mayor who was responsible for retrieving the holiday bonuses, and she said that you were, but you just said that it's the attorney. Getting the money back from the previous council members?
The letter, so what, in the meeting that was held, I don't remember what month it is, you have to refer back to the minutes. In the meeting that was held, it was a special meeting held, here. In that meeting, that was when the vote was taken for the stipends and the bonuses. But in that meeting, it was said that everyone, because it was people that are no longer here that received bonuses, and it was said that everyone will receive a letter. So the letter will come from the mayor and the council. I keep saying to me, it's not 7 lines to sign on, but it'll come from the mayor and the council saying that you received a bonus and that bonus will be paid back. So it's not that I will reach out to them. If I'm instructed to, I will. But it's that they will notify everyone who received the bonus that you received money that you weren't eligible to receive, and you have to pay that, and request that money be paid back.
Okay, when you make your report, one more question. When you make your report or send your report in to be read, is it possible for you to give a beginning and current balance of the money owed to the town
Can you say, oh, for the.
from the bonuses and stipends?
Yes, I can do that.
Oh, okay. Was your question for me?
Yeah, I mean, for the.
I
Okay.
applaud you.
No, I was, okay, wait a minute.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
When, what it has just been answered with the stipend as well as the bonuses, is it gonna be publicly known who else? Cause it's a lot.
No. We already, they had a special meeting. They're not gonna put out any names.
No, I mean, I'm
asking
asking
her a
her,
question.
so, I mean, I'm asking with those that are no longer here, how will that be addressed? Just, I'm the only one that owe money for the bonus, right?
No, you're
Oh.
not the only person. Everyone
That was here,
everyone that has received a bonus, has ever received a bonus, and has not paid it back,
right?
will receive the same letter.
Okay.
It says you received a bonus, what the date was, what the amount was, and that bonus has to be paid back. That will be for every council member that has ever received a bonus. And if they haven't paid it back, if they paid it back, then they won't get the letter. Or if they refused it, then they won't get it. If they haven't paid it back, then they'll receive that letter. It says that.
Okay.
You had a question for
Oh,
me?
boy.
Yep, I have 3 questions.
Okay.
For one thing, I applaud you for working so hard and doing your homework on that. But for one thing, we know that the charter is no good to us then, for one thing. Another thing, I wanted to know why you did such hard homework on Ms. Wood Dawson, but the $3,850 that was stolen from Ms. Hallgrove was never mentioned by you. Now, Mr. Barnhart and I came to your house. The reason why we came to your house asking about the $3,850 that was stolen, because you did something on the mayor and her bonuses, trying to get information from you. So why are you coming so hard on her and a free $3,850 that was stolen in an event that we never had? Money was never given. Never.
Okay, now if you remember when you and Mr. Barnhart came to my house, knocked on my door, and you were explaining to me, and I asked questions, and what you answered, I told you, you don't have any evidence. I told you, get your, you didn't have any paperwork, you didn't have anything with you. What I told you was, go to Susan and get your evidence. That's what I told you. And actually, you said that you were one of the members that had voted for her to get her money back. I wasn't on that committee. I didn't even know what happened with that. And I asked you, why are you here at my door? You said because I had the petition for mayor. But I told you, you don't have any evidence. And I remember several of those questions that I asked you, because you said that you all wanted mayor to stop payment on the check that she wrote to former council member Hargrove.
Because it was stolen money.
I mean, like,
And we did have evidence.
but you didn't have it with you. You didn't show it to me.
Yeah, we did. We did.
You didn't take no initiative looking to that, though.
You didn't have any evidence. I went by everything. I listened to everything that you said. I answered several questions. I asked several questions, and I told you didn't have any evidence. And I also told you when I did my petition, I had my evidence in paper with my petition, and I showed it to the citizens. You did not come to my door with anything but talk.
We did, Darrell.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Now, I
But
will
you know
say,
what, though, Ms.
I
Clark,
will
you
say,
I got a phone call from you concerning that recall, but I'm gonna say this.
You got a
because-
phone call from me. I didn't call you.
okay, all right.
I called you in the beginning about before I started the petition, and you said that you could not help me because your other position.
No, ma'am. You called me, you asked me about the recall for the mayor, and I asked you what it was for. And when you said it was a stipend, I said, if you're going to do that.
No, Christmas bonus. I didn't say stipend. I said
Whatever
Christmas
it was,
bonus.
I said, if you're going to do that, whatever your accusation is, the mayor, my response to you was, if you're going to do that to the mayor, you're gonna have to do it to everybody because she didn't make the decision. It was a majority vote. That's what I said to you. So I'm saying to you that when you did do your recall, you went after her. Now all this stuff is coming about the stipend, but only because of what's going on. We've been in this for 2 or 2.5 years. It's back and forth and back and forth. Credit for Hargrove, credit for this, whatever. Come on. In the meantime, the town is not moving forward because when this person is in trouble, now you start digging up dirt on everybody and we just throwing stones here, there, and nothing's getting done for the town. So you didn't go after everybody, you went after the mayor because y'all make your preferences to Ms. Clark. I never gave you my phone number. So when you say they showed up at the door with no evidence, you called me with none.
All right.
And wait a minute, because you're doing your research, you are, but you're doing your research in defense of some things you're overlooking. Now I'm gonna talk about that, what the Monday saying is stolen. Yes, it wasn't agreement to give Hargrove her money back. But they requested receipts for the expenses. They came in here with the proof. After all this that you're asking for, that they didn't have, or maybe they didn't have, but they came in here with it. So I just don't understand. When you speak for one,
Well, they may have picked it up after they talked to me. I don't know.
All right.
And also, if you all had voted on a Christmas bonus, mayor said you took a consensus. A consensus is not a vote.
just
A
wanted to know why
consensus
you're
is
not so
of people,
involved in this
several
Okay.
people agreeing to break the law.
All right. I do think at this point of order, we're going to move beyond this because I don't think we're going to accomplish anything with this, Ms. Clark. What I will say is that we're going to have to, and it's going to take Mrs. Walker and it's going to take the rest of the council to get together to try to weed this information out, and then we can get back with you with some answers once we go back and review all who was at those meetings and get that research done on that. And I can't give you a date. Now, I did say in my report that on January the 8th, we do have 2 agenda items that we're going to work on. I'm not saying we're going to work on it that day. It depends on how much time we're going to have because we got a 4-hour window. But, you know, you don't want to crowd everything up in there and not be able to work it. That might be something important. Who knows what we're going to have to try to dig into it then because we have to get to the root of it and make sure that it's properly executed all the way down the line. All the way down.
Okay.
That's what I will say, and I can't give you the date, but I'm hoping to get this aired out at least by January, because it's starting off a new year, and I feel like it's time that we can, you know, try to, because what happens is we have so many issues that hit us so often, and with not really having a large staff here to work on everything, things just go back and forth, and it's not solving it. So in order to bring some resolution to it, I want to put that on, even we have to have a special meeting just for that and have all the information that was given from the attorney, and he won't mind repeating it again.
Okay.
And then we can just try to get it sorted out. So I'm going to request, as a matter of fact, even if we do a Zoom meeting with him, and then get this back as soon as possible. I know next week is not a good week. The only time we probably have is near the end of December, and I don't know whether he's out of town. So let me just verify with him what his schedule is, but that's gonna be the topic, is the stipend issue and getting it resolved.
I have a few more things I'd like to add to that list at a later time, too, Madam Mayor.
For the attorney?
Yep.
Okay. You could just give me a list of the other things, because we can have a meeting with him just on those and we can do a Zoom meeting. We'll do that. Let him send us a link and go and do a Zoom. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Clark. Okay, we're gonna, Councilmember Morris?
So I just want to state it on the record again, that Ms. White has made allegations that Stella has stolen money from the town of Fairmount Heights in this town meeting, which is untrue, because if that is true, then we're all complicit because we all signed off on voting for her to get her money back. Secondly, Mayor, can you quiet the room for me? I don't want any disturbance over there. But secondly, am I correct in saying that the attorney was advised about the re-election about the extension of the term limits. It was brought up, there was a document that was circulated. You received it, we talked to the attorney about it, and he
Yeah.
said that everything had been extended the proper way.
Well, see, he came here just for that purpose, to talk about those things. We have the minutes, we have all the information concerning that. He made it crystal clear when he left here.
He did.
He made it crystal clear. So, like I said, I mean, I don't mind contacting him and try to get a Zoom for further clarification. I want to get Ms. Walker in on that one also, so that we can just get this completely aired out and sorted out. So moving forward, as we go into 22, we don't have to keep worrying about this going back and forth and back. So I'm going to request him. I'll get in touch with him tomorrow. Okay. Okay, I know there was some, I think it was Mr. Barnhart.
On the citizen level, maybe.
Huh?
On the citizen end.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So, like Councilman Morris just said earlier, the child is outdated, it needs to be updated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that it's wrong in a lot of ways, got a lot of gray areas in it. So even when people doing their homework and investigations and all that can be interpreted because the child is gray and it's outdated. So when we talking about stipends being reimbursed, and we talking about people being penalized and things like that, you don't have proper policies and procedures in place, right? How can anybody be held accountable to anything? It's like Ms. White just said, 3850 was given, taken, stolen, however you want to put it, to Councilwoman Hargrove, and the mayor told Attorney Deloach that this wasn't supposed to be done like this. And he forced her to do it anyway, okay? So, I'm saying that to say that until y'all get this stuff in order, I mean, really get it in order, sit down, hang out, retreats, do what y'all need to do, get some professional help in here to reestablish this government, then this right here shouldn't take place. Just like the election ain't taking place, just like a lot of this mismanagement that's going on with council members that's holding positions, and not doing their job, and having no reports. Ain't nobody been held accountable. Nobody. We got several lawsuits on the town, taxpayer dollars going out the window. Ain't nothing going on, but y'all want to hold somebody accountable for $6,000, and we ain't got a police department. Are y'all serious? Really? Y'all, we really gonna fight over small stuff like this? We got $1 million lawsuits going on. This stuff gotta stop. This is some foolishness. I see why people don't want to come in, and I'm tired of coming in here too. Only reason why I still come in here is I live here, and I got kids here. And I be damned if I'm gonna sit back and just watch out and make a fool of the people in this town and the people that put in hard work a long time before we had it. Because it's a disgrace, it really is. I guarantee that you go on here and look at the viewers of people that watch this. They don't even watch. Or if they do watch, you know what? It's like Housewives of Atlanta. But professionalism, government, joke. Just what it is.
All right, thank you very much. I'm not going to entertain any other comments, council member,
Madam Mayor,
council member. Oh, okay, point of order. Council member, I'm not going to, if it's anything concerning Mr. Barnhart's comments, let's just leave it, slice it, leave it alone.
It's not
I don't
negative.
want.
It's not negative.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Now, what we basically have had all of our comments, and we've had now, is this, it was only directed at one person?
Just in response to what he said.
No, we can leave that at this point, because there are a lot of things I could say also, but I'm not going to really even make any more comments on it. What has been said has been said. We know we have much more work to do, and we have a new year coming up. This is the last meeting for 2021, and I'm hoping and praying that we can come to better common ground in 2022. It's just very difficult, especially, like I said, whatever happened, regardless of what anybody says, it bounces back to the mayor. And believe you me, whenever I'm out, I get the most sympathetic looks. And they say, oh, I know it's so hard on you. Because they already know. They see it everywhere as to what happens here. And we need better we need rebranding, we need better reflections, and better dreams and hopes and goals for the town. We already know what the ancestors have been thinking. They wanted this to be a prosperous, happy location. And for a while now, it has not been happening. And it's definitely left up to the people who have that responsibility in their hands. In their hands. So I say at this point, I want to thank everyone for everything that's been said and done. And I want to see us leave out of here on a note that says, happy holidays to all, to whoever's listening, whoever's watching, happy holidays to you. And may God bless the town of Fairmount Heights, because it is only within his capacity that we can be blessed. He's given us so much, and so much has just been wasted and gone for naught. So at this point, if we can't take this mantle for 22 and run with it and make it better, then it's not good for our outlook. So may God bless everyone and happy holidays. At this time, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I get a second? It's been properly moved and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. The ayes have it. You all have a wonderful evening.